So I promised myself that I would try to stay away from making videos or vlogs that are anything other than happy family moments. I kind of wanted to get some things off my chest. And I don't want to make it just a video about ranting. Also wanted to be kind of awareness as well, so that something like this doesn't happen to other people. I feel that if I would have been more informed or would have taken more time to ask more questions, that a lot of this could have been prevented. But I mean, it happened, and I am a victim. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but it's happened now. Where do I begin? See, so first, I know you all know me as the Carlyle Brown, the guy that does vlogs, but I also do wedding videography. So I had a potential client, someone who contacted me through Wedding Wire, inquire about my services. They asked me some questions regarding what type of packages that I offer, and you know, what they can expect for a wedding. And they were saying that this is going to be a wedding for their cousin. The email that I got was from a gentleman named Coker. And so me and Mr. Coker corresponded back and forth to get the details of the wedding together. And I proceeded to send him a contract. He signed the contract, and I countersigned the contract. I sent him an invoice for $300 for the videography deposit, and he contacted me shortly after that, stating that there was an error with the check, and that I needed to contact. And when I say contact throughout this whole thing, everything's been done through email, and I do emails for most of the contacts for all my weddings. He asked me to contact him, so I contacted him back via email and told him that I got the check, and I sent him an invoice for $300, and he sent me a check for $2,950. So then he said, yeah, I do apologize, I've overpaid you. The deposit was for catering services and for your services, but they were accidentally added into one check when they acquired the cashier's check. I have no problem with returning the funds to you. And he said, well, how about you just take your deposit? He said, take $450 for your deposit, and therefore you'll have, you know, we'll have less to pay at the remaining balance, and then forward the funds to the gentleman who's going to be taking care of the catering. And that gentleman's name was Matthew Ventimilla, and I could be pronouncing that wrong, but I'm going to put all these names up on the screen for you to see anyway. So the gentleman, Matthew Ventimilla, lived in Lomita, California. Coker asked me to send the remaining balance to Matthew Ventimilla, who is the person in charge of the wedding catering. In this case, I assume Matthew Ventimilla was the person that owned the catering company, and I was writing the check to him. So I deposited Mr. Coker's check, then purchased a cashier's check for $2,500, the remaining balance after I took out the deposit for myself. I then made that check, a cashier's check, to Matthew Ventimilla. Then I sent that information, sent the check to Matthew Ventimilla in Lomita, California, and I really should have asked questions at this point as to why the catering services were going to be done through Lomita, California. I do weddings in Tennessee, so people will be paying me for services in Charleston, South Carolina for weddings that I do in Tennessee. About a week later, I got contacted from the bank stating that the original check that I received in the mail, the $29.50, had come back as fraudulent. I knew at that moment that I was probably involved in some sort of scam, and I had no clue what I could do to correct this situation, since I had already gotten a check from my account for $2,500 and forwarded it to Matthew VEINTIMILLA. I contacted Dorchester County Sheriff's Department and I filed a report, and then I also filed a fraud claim with Navy Federal Credit Union. Navy Federal Credit Union, after I spoke with them for several hours regarding the incident, they promised me that my funds in my checking account would not be used to reconcile this negative balance that I now have because of the fraudulent check and because of the money that I sent out. They promised me that the money will not be taken from my checking account to reconcile that balance. This was promised to me by two different people at Navy Federal Credit Union. Sure enough, the next day I wake up and Navy Federal Credit Union has drafted all of the funds in my checking account to make up for this fraudulent check. I understand you have to do what you have to do to get your money back, but at the same time, you did promise me, you did tell me, and you have, all your calls that we have, they all say that these calls are recorded for quality assurance. So I know you have a recording of the individual who I spoke with who told me that my funds will not be deducted from my account. Well, they were. And then once the claim had made it to the security department, they did make up for that and give me all those funds that they transferred from my checking account. They gave me all those funds back. They also informed me at the time that the check had not been cashed. And I also got another email from Velez Coker, who at this point I'm realizing is probably Matthew VEINTIMILLA, the scam artist. He tells me that he's having trouble cashing the check that I gave him, which to me is great news, because now I know that this gentleman can't cash my check. But at the same time, I still have this pending investigation for this check. And so then I email him back and I tell him, hey, if you just give me the check back, I can try to get all this squared away for you. Of course, I tell him this so that I can try to get the check back, so I can give that to Navy Federal as proof that this check was not cashed, so that I can get this negative balance out of my savings account, and that there's nothing pending as far as what I owe them or what they need back to reconcile this fraudulent check. Also, at this time, I had already given them back the $450 deposit that I took for myself to reconcile that difference. So the only thing remaining that they are owed is the $2,500 that I wrote the cashier's check for. About 2 weeks later now, which is yesterday, a representative from Navy Federal Credit Union told me that the check was cashed. Velez Coker never was able to get the check sent back to me. I should say Matthew VEINTIMILLA, whoever was not able to get the check back to me, and instead it was cashed. So I know that Matthew VEINTIMILLA had to have cashed the check, because he's the only one that can, since it's a cashier's check that has his name on it and paid to the order of him. I called Navy Federal Credit Union and asked them once again, will there be any funds taken out of my checking account to reconcile this difference? And I stressed to them that I absolutely need to make sure that does not happen, because I need to have the money in my checking account. I need to have money to live with. The representative tells me, no, your funds won't be taken from your checking account, that they're still doing the investigation. And once they're done with the investigation, because I have filed a complaint, or excuse me, a fraud claim, they won't be taking any money from me, that I've been protected by making the claim. Well, the next morning when I wake up, there is no money in my account again. So Navy Federal has lied to me again. I call a customer service representative at Navy Federal and I tell them about themselves and tell them that they have lied to me, and their answer to me is, well, we're sorry, you have a negative balance in your account. The investigation is still going on, and once we conclude the investigation, then we'll get your money back to you. Navy Federal only cares about their money at this moment, and they've lied to me twice. When you tell someone that you're gonna do something, or that you're not gonna do something, and then you turn around and then you do the exact opposite, that's called lying. And in my opinion, that's very, very poor customer service. And then when you call to get it, get all squared away, and then they tell you that there's nothing they can do because they've lied to you and they were wrong, that kind of makes you feel even more victimized. And I'm already a victim here. I have negative $3,000 in my account at this moment, and Navy Federal is refusing to do anything to help me out other than continue to take money out of my checking account and lie to me. I'm going to try not to rant too much about that, because I do know that they are still investigating and there's still the possibility that they will get the funds back to me. But at this moment, all they've done is given me poor customer service, and what I'm going to do when all this is squared away is close my accounts with them. I then do some research on where I sent the check to in Lomita, California, and find that Matthew VEINTIMILLA still lives at one point lived at the residence of Lomita, California. I'll put all the information in the description below of the Matthew VEINTIMILLA person and the address that they provided to me. I do some research, find out that the address that I did send the check to was in fact the address of Matthew VEINTIMILLA, and I did all this by just doing like Yellow Pages searches. I also found out that Matthew had some court cases stemming from some DUIs, from a hit and run, from an accident, and he was also a pharmacist intern who got his license revoked because of these incidences. On the court documents that I have, it also has Matthew VEINTIMILLA's address, the same address that I sent the check to. Therefore, I know that this individual is the same individual who is scamming me. I also do some more digging. I found some more arrest records. I found more court documents. I found that he is on probation, currently on probation, and I also found a Facebook page and a LinkedIn profile with the picture of Matthew VEINTIMILLA, who I did verify based on his affiliation with the pharmaceutical sorority Phi Delta Chi or whatever. And I was able to kind of link all those things up and find out that the person that I'm seeing on Facebook, the picture of the person, is the same as the individual who is scamming me. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, I got a pretty good case. I know where to start. I know who to look for. I know who to tell the officers who to look for, so that at least we can kind of get things moving in the right direction. So I go to Dorchester County Sheriff's Department, and I tell them that I have more information to add to the case. Well, the deputy who comes to assist me with this claim has no care in the world whatsoever about what I'm talking to him about. From the moment he greeted me to the moment I departed from him, I got no sense of urgency whatsoever. All the information that I printed out, including his Matthew VEINTIMILLA's date of birth, his address, these court documents, his arrest records, I mean, everything that I can find on this individual who has scammed me. This officer, all he could tell me was that they may not be calling me back because they didn't have a whole lot of information, and because of the type of case that it is. Anything that y'all can do when people come to y'all about these things, And he goes, well, I mean, it's just something that you learn from. Something that you learn from? All you can tell me is that, well, you're gonna learn from this. If I'm gonna learn from anything that I'm gonna pay this much money for, I'm gonna get a degree out of it. I'm gonna get a certificate out of it. I'm not just gonna have someone rip me off. And I'm gonna hope that the person who I'm speaking to, the authority, the law enforcement officer, is gonna do something to help me and not just look at me like I'm an idiot and then tell me that, well, now you're gonna learn a lesson. If someone were to get mugged in the streets because they weren't aware of what street they were walking down, are you going to tell them, well, now you know not to walk down that street anymore. You've learned a lesson. I'm a victim here, and I expect to be respected and not treated like a freaking idiot, okay? I'm not going to list the name of the officer at Dorchester County, but if anyone at Dorchester County Sheriff's Department does see this video, and it circulates by any means, the person will know who I'm talking about, and I'm sure there's a record. I'm gonna calm down just a little bit and bring it back down to a normal tone. I did get in contact with the FBI, and they gave me some resources where I could submit some information to try to get a case started with them to see what can be done. I do want to say the people at the Charleston Bureau of the FBI and also the Los Angeles branch of the FBI, they were fantastic individuals to speak with on the phone. They were very, very professional. They gave me more service than anyone at Navy Federal or at the Dorchester County Sheriff's Department did. And I do thank them for giving me the resources that I need to file the claim so that this person can be caught. But I'm going to wrap this all up right here, and then I'll also update you all with more information on how this is all going. I know I was a bit all over the place and trying to explain what was going on, but if you have any questions about the fraud that I was involved with, or the individual, Matthew VEINTIMILLA, or if you were a victim of a scam similar to this, or if you were a victim of this Matthew VEINTIMILLA scam, I would definitely indeed touch base with me and contact the FBI, because the more victims that they have, it kind of sucks, but the more victims that they have of this individual, then the more urgent it's going to sound to them to get this person off the street and taken care of. So just lessons here that you can learn from me. Be careful of checks that you get for services, even if you have a legitimate business just like I do. If you get a check for an overpayment, if they're asking you to deposit the funds and send them money back, don't do it. Just send them the whole check back, and don't forward the money from yourself to another company or another individual for this person. If you deposit a check, wait until the funds clear from your account before you decide to do anything with the money that you have received from a check. If you can avoid using these ancient devices called checks, just avoid it. I've decided from now on that I'm never going to use or accept checks for my business again. I'm only going to take PayPal, because PayPal has excellent service, and they will protect you against incidences like this. So, but like I said, if you have any questions about anything, or if you know someone who can help in this case, or if you're a lawyer and you have some legal advice that you're willing to give me for free, because obviously I'm broke as a joke right now with a negative $3,000 balance in my account. If you have any legal advice on what I could do to pursue this, to file a lawsuit, to I don't know, if there's anyone out there who has any information or could help out, I'll be more than happy to take whatever information that you have. I will let you all know how things get resolved. So yeah.